Good morning and welcome to UWSELA Southeast Louisiana's May Investors Call. I'm Mike Williamson, President and CEO, UWSELA Southeast Louisiana. And these calls are designed to help you or to inform you about the great work that UWSELA is doing across our region and how we leverage your support. I'd like to start real quick with some exciting news that next week, May 17th, we'll be a part of the National Atlas Report Data Reveal in Washington, D.C. And we're so proud to have Patty Riddlebarger, who's Director of Corporate Social Responsibility, Entergy, and Vanessa Adams-Payne, who's our VP of Financial Capability, that'll be sharing more about that great work. So we're looking forward to that. Follow us on social media so you can learn more about the reveal and launch and follow us that way. Thanks. Now to turn it over to Rick Haas, our chairman.
Good morning, everyone. Glad you're on the call. Thanks for being here. The intent of our calls, these monthly calls, is to make sure you understand the wonderful effect of your support and volunteerism or giving or corporate campaign management. So we appreciate that you're here and are excited about the things we have to tell you. I'll tell you, as a chairman of the Board of Trustees, I'm here actually representing the board and want you to know how much we appreciate all the great work that you're doing, which enables this incredible staff and leadership of the UWSELA Southeast Louisiana to change the lives and to change the trajectory of lives in the markets that we serve. This past week, we had a press conference at UWSELA headquarters on Canal Street, making special note of the launch of Make Change NOLA. Make Change NOLA is a program that's designed to be able to answer a fundamental problem that exists in the city, and that is, I guess I can relate to that a little bit more on a personal level than all of the logistics. But the way this works, and you've been in these circumstances before, as have thousands and thousands of citizens, when you stop at a light or you're passing a street corner in New Orleans and you see one of the many, many homeless people standing on the corner with a sign asking for money. And you know in that moment of decision that you have right there whether or not to reach in to your wallet or your purse and pull out $1 or give them some sort of money through the window. You know that you have these thoughts like, I want to do some good, I want to help, but I don't really know if the money I'm handing through the window is going to make that difference. Well, Make Change NOLA is a collaboration between now Mayor Cantrell, formerly Councilwoman Cantrell, and Stacy Head. In collaboration with the Downtown Development District, we have launched Make Change NOLA. And Make Change NOLA is a text-to program whereby instead of handing money through the window and not knowing whether it's really going to do something to help in a meaningful way, you can text your donation directly to services through the service that will enable real programming to be able to help people get off the street and stay off the street. It's a wonderful collaboration, and before we're done, we're going to give you the text-to number so you can experience it yourself. And it's an exciting moment because now we have a way to help the folks that are living on the street and know that the money is actually reaching people who are living on the street. I think one of the things that Stacy said in her television broadcast or her television interview on WWL this week was that upwards of 60% of the people who are on those corners may actually not be homeless. This way, by giving money through the text-to program, we're making sure that money is allocated to the people who need it the most and allocated in a way that makes sense to change their living on the street status. So, Michael, it was a great week. You've got a lot of exciting things to do. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being on the call, and thanks for all that you do. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Michael.
Thanks a lot, Rick. It was definitely exciting, and we're looking forward to seeing how the program progresses. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Lee Thorpe, our Senior Vice President for Marketing Resource Development, to give us an update on the annual campaign.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. before I go into some exciting events that we have, we want to make sure you're all left with the text to give number. So if any of you are interested in supporting this incredible initiative and helping us address the issues of homelessness, poverty, mental health, and substance abuse, you can do that easily. You can text WAY, W-A-W, W-A-Y, apologies, to 27722. So that's WAY to 27722. And please keep an eye out for a lot of marketing collateral that have been created for this campaign, thanks to the Downtown Development District, the Hellis Foundation, the New Orleans Convention and Visitors Bureau, Harrah's, and the New Orleans Marketing Tourism Board. We're really appreciative of all their support in this campaign. Speaking of campaign, as we wrap up another amazing year at United Way, we're going to host our annual meeting, which also includes our Live United Awards. That will be June 27th at the Riverview Room downtown from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And as we mentioned on last month's call, we're going to take this opportunity to share the great work that's being done at United Way that's been going on for the last 12 months and honor the incredible supporters, the volunteers, donors, and advocates that have helped us get to where we are today in our work to eradicate poverty. So we hope that you all save that date, and tickets are now on sale. Early bird prices start at $60, so we hope you'll get your tickets today, or a table of 10 is $500 if you purchase tickets before June 14th. So we'll encourage you all to please get your tickets early. We will sell out, as we always do, which we're very appreciative of as well. If so many people come to this event to hear about the work being done at United Way and our steps for next year. I also want to share some really great events that we are hosting in partnership with our sponsors, Shell, Keystone Engineering, Rain Carbon, and State Farm Sharon Green. That is STEM North Shore. We're really excited to once again bring a STEM Saturday event to the North Shore of parishes of St. Tammany and Tangipahoa in partnership with STEM NOLA, an organization that is doing incredible work around science, technology, engineering, and math. So we have two events that will be going on. We have, one on June 9th in West St. Tammany. That's going to be at William Pritchard Junior High School. One on June 23rd in East St. Tammany. That is at St. Tammany Junior High. And then another one in Hammond that will be happening in October. So please, we encourage all students of all ages to come out to this STEM Saturday North Shore event to learn all about the amazing opportunities in the fields of STEM and the jobs that can be not only productive and profitable, but also really fun and educational. So please go to northshorestem.com to learn more about that amazing program. There's 3 programs that will be taking place on the North Shore of our region. Lastly, we want to once again recognize the New Orleans Baby Case. We hosted our Volunteer Appreciation Night on April 17th during National Volunteer Week. We invited more than 700 United Way volunteers and supporters to come out to the ballpark with the Baby Cake. And we had the great fortune of recognizing our top 5 largest volunteer organizations, our companies with the most volunteer hours, which topped the list was Folgers Coffee Company, as well as Shell, Coca-Cola Bottling Company United, Loop LLC, and United Parcel Service. It was so nice to be out, to be able to say thank you in person to these wonderful organizations that are constantly supporting us, not just through giving, but also through volunteerism. So we have a lot of great other activities going on throughout the year, and we hope you'll continue to go to our website to learn more about engagement opportunities. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Lee. And you also, if you were there, you got to see us sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" on the dugout, which was a huge treat, at least for those of us that were singing. But if you're sitting out there and you're listening, I'd either give yourself a round of applause or give yourself a pat on the back, because all these things that we just talked about are because of your generosity and your support of our United Way. And I'd like to turn it over to our Chief Impact Officer, Mary Ambrose, talk about what we're doing with the resources you entrusted with us.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm really excited today to come to you and share with you how we're reviewing our programs and our collaborations when we're not in a full-blown grant process. Working under our Blueprint for Prosperity, United Way of Southeast Louisiana has made strategic investments in 70 programs across 51 agencies and 7 parishes, as well as 7 great collaboratives aiming at systems level change. So just want to talk about the programs quickly. We're moving into year 3 of a 3-year funding agreement with partner agencies and programs. And with our collaboratives, we're going into year 2. In our program funding, we undergo an annual performance review of programs and collaboratives to ensure that all programs and collaboratives are operating with quality and meeting our overall standards set forth by United Way. As good stewards of your investment, we hold our partners accountable to the goals and outcomes of their work. So we're collecting data over a 6-month period, looking at their outcomes. Where are they with their outcomes? Are they on track? We're looking at what they're proposing for our next year and what does their budgets and their financials look like. Thank you to all those that serve on our financial review committee that review all the audits and the 990s and the budgets. We're also ensuring that our campaigns run, that our agencies are running campaigns, and they're completing that 30% participation rate. Thank you to all of our agencies that are running those campaigns, and most of them are succeeding that 30% goal. We're conducting site visits to all 70 of our programs. We do this so that we can be sure that what was written in their grant is actually happening at the site, but also it gives us a chance to really understand what the agencies are facing and what their needs are. And we're assessing their overall timeliness and responsiveness of them as partners. And we've concluded our performance review. I'm really excited to say that we have some really fantastic programs, and it's our 3rd year of funding. So they're going to be gearing up for another grant process in 2019. For our collaborations, we sit in those collaborations. We're working hand in hand, side by side with those partners, and we're there to help guide the work and inform the work. So we're there at the table, but those collaboratives also submit to us reports on their progress and what they're doing. And so we have a lot of information. We take that information and we bring it to our collaboration grants review committee. Thank you to all of our committee members who serve and who really sit with us and dig into the data and look at all of our collaboratives. We just met, so I want to thank you very much for your time and your input. We have completed our review, and our review is going to our Community Impact Committee for approval on Thursday and then to our board on the 23rd. So we want to thank you, our investors, and to all of our community impact volunteers for helping us make strategic investments in our journey to eradicate poverty. I do have a quick success story from our program funding. We had a 4-year-old child diagnosed with developmental delays and autism characteristics who came into one of our child development centers. And he had difficulty adjusting in the classroom and having interactions with his peers. He was constantly running away from people, fighting, and hitting his head on the class wall. He had no communication and very limited vocabulary. Through intervention services provided at the Child Development Center, the child was provided with speech therapy and classroom stimulation. The teacher also worked with the mother and the grandfather to create a home life that was beneficial to the child and his special needs. Now, at this stage, the child has intelligible speech and speaks clearly using good sentence structure. He interacts with other students and doesn't like leaving at the end of the day. He will be transitioning into kindergarten this next school year, ready and prepared for the next school setting. So I want to thank, I think it's Kingsley House that this story came from, and he's done, Kingsley House is a shining star with our child care centers. And so thank you so much, Keith Liederman and the team at Kingsley House. And I also want to highlight a major achievement is with Youth Force NOLA. Youth Force NOLA is an education, business, and civic collaborative that prepares New Orleans public school students for successful pursuit of high-wage, high-demand career pathways through expanded coursework offerings, career exposure, and experiences, soft skills training and application opportunities, and employer-validated credentials. That's a lot. So far, 157 students completed training with Youth Force NOLA, 156 earned placements, and 142 completed their placements, representing a retention rate of 90%. So congratulations to Youth Force NOLA and to those students who stuck it in and stayed with the program and got such valuable experience, and will be ready to move on to the next step. So that's just a snippet of the great work we and our partners are doing in the region. From programmatic grants to collaborative grants, we're ensuring that we work to move the needle on poverty. And to learn more about our investments, you can visit our website at www.unitedwaysela.org and click on Investment Portfolio under our work. The next thing I want to talk about is the emergency food and shelter updates. I am really excited to report that once again, the National Congress has approved $120 million for Phase 35 for Emergency Food and Shelter Program. And so what does that look like for us? That's the national number, not ours. I wish it was. But it is the funding for the different parishes are based on the unemployment rates of those parishes. And once again, Orleans Parish has been funded for the same amount, $188,563. The good news is that San Bernard Parish has also been funded to a lesser extent. The award is $21,340. So there will be an application put out. We will put a notice in the paper as required with our guidelines for this program. The notice will be going out very soon, so kind of keep your eyes out for it. And we will go through a grant process as required and to get these monies allocated out into the community. So that's my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. A lot of great, exciting things happening once again because we have such great donors, advocates, and volunteers. I mean, United Way, we believe it's important to pair our public policy efforts with our fundraising and program funding efforts to try to scale impact. So I'd like to ask Pam Allison, who's our Director, Public Policy and Community Impact, to give us an update on our 2018 legislative session.
Public policy has been very busy at the Capitol this legislative session, and we are so excited to report that we had a very successful day at the Capitol yesterday. Representative Stephanie Hilberty's bill, House Bill 676, passed unanimously for final passage on the Senate floor. This bill creates the Early Childhood Care and Education Commission to develop a vision for early care and education in Louisiana and pilot programs. We had 3 major victories for our domestic violence bills for final passage in the Senate yesterday. House Bill 100 by Representative Melinda White provides with respect to attorney fees and costs in domestic abuse cases. It passed unanimously on the Senate floor, 33 yeas and 0 nays. House Bill 125 by Representative Patrick Jefferson provides relative to divorce and spousal support. It passed unanimously on the Senate floor, 33 yeas and 0 nays. House Bill 488 by Representative Beryl Amity provides to the mandatory reporting of certain crimes of sexual abuse of a minor. It also passed unanimously on the Senate floor. We await final passage for several domestic violence bills today. House Bill 612 by Representative Julie Stokes would make it illegal to video or photograph an individual when they have a reasonable expectation of privacy. This law also applies to non-consensual sharing of the images or videos. This bill advanced from Senate Jude C without objection and is pending Senate final passage today. Representative Pat Smith's domestic violence bill, House Bill 776, prohibits the possession of a firearm in certain cases involving stalking, and House Bill 896 provides relative to battery of a dating partner, domestic abuse, and uniform abuse prevention order. Both bills are pending Senate final passage today. Senate Bill 60 by Senator Danny Martini provides relative to civil actions for domestic abuse. This bill is pending House final passage today. Senate Bill 291 by Senator Regina Barrow prioritizes the safety of a child and adds domestic violence to child custody determinations. This bill is also pending House final passage today. Senate Bill 231 by Senator J.P. Morrell creates a transfer process for domestic abusers lawfully dispossessed of firearms and a reporting process to sheriffs for those who attempt to purchase a firearm. This bill is pending House final passage and is scheduled for May 9th. Representative Julie Stokes' cancer bills, House Bill 460 and House Bill 690, were unanimously approved in the Senate Committee on Insurance. Now, House Bill 460 would update the current law requiring that mammograms be covered by insurance, including Medicaid, to make 3D mammograms the minimum standard. And House Bill 690 by Representative Stokes would ensure coverage for subsequent recommended cancer screenings for patients who have bilateral mastectomy. This bill is pending Senate final passage today. Now, SBR 10 by Senator Regina Barrow received unanimous approval in the Senate to raise the age for foster care to 21. It has been signed by the Speaker. Please continue to stay informed to all of our action alerts, which continue to follow all legislative activity, and be sure to monitor any policy you may have an interest in by visiting the Louisiana State Legislature's website. We thank you for your advocacy efforts, whether it may have been calling the legislator, sending an email, and definitely testifying in committee. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Pam. And clearly, we're very, very busy in Baton Rouge, and you can see we have a lot of bills that we're working on and monitoring, and just such great work.
Michael, it's Rick again. You mind if I jump in for a second?
Sure, go ahead.
Pam, thank you so much for that update. I just want everybody on the call today to really understand the nature of why public policy, although difficult to navigate some of these legislative situations, I just want everybody to understand that we can be out there, at the street helping every single day, and we are. But unless we get to the root of the problems, unless we change the policy, public policy through legislation, we're really handicapped in our ability to change long-term those things that are affecting our society in such a bad way. So what those updates that Pam just gave are so critically important to slowing the problematic components of what makes our society have a difficult time navigating. I just want everybody to understand that not only is their effort helping us work to solve the problems as they occur day to day, but their efforts and their volunteerism and all of our contributions are being put to great use to stem the reoccurrence of these problems. And that report is just incredible, the impact that United Way of Southeast Louisiana is having. Thanks again for all the public policy is doing.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rick. And I know we had a question that came across our webinar platform, and so I think it was Keith. And Keith, thanks for your question regarding the president and submitting the rescission request to Congress to cut nearly $60 billion from the proposed budget and how that will impact families and children. So we're monitoring that. Effort and working with our colleagues at United Way Worldwide to keep an eye on it. We'll definitely let our donors, advocates, and volunteers know if there's any specific call to action for you. But thanks for your question, Keith. We've been since 2016 working on long-term recovery around the great floods of 2016 and Janine Dahmer, our Senior Vice President, Long-Term Recovery, has some more success stories to share.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, it's kind of appropriate that I'm going to give a report this month for the investor calls, as it is the kickoff to the Hurricane Preparedness Month here in Louisiana. As most of you know, as Michael just mentioned, we worked very diligently after the March and August floods to start recovery and do some immediate recovery. I can remind everybody that right after the August floods, we opened a warehouse and collected and distributed over 1.5 million items valued at $1.4 million. And I also want to remind everybody that that recovery was not just the warehouse. It had to do with working with over 90 partners. And with those partners, we were able to address the needs of 68 families as we mucked and gutted their homes and worked with them firsthand to bring them to recovery. But we made that long-term commitment. And starting in January 2017, we started on our long-term recovery plan. And so I'm really happy to give an update that from January 2017 through this past month of April 2018, we have now worked with 120 families to rehouse, rebuild, and bring into safe, sanitary, and secure lives, and which they can continue to work and thrive in the community. So I'm really, really happy about that. That's actually 33 families just since January, with over $150,000 of investments just since January. That kind of breaks down, as you look at the region for where the flood was on the North Shore, that breaks down to 74 families in Tangipahoa Parish, where the majority of the flooding occurred, 26 families up in our northernmost parish of Washington, and 20 families in St. Tammany Parish. And to let you know how we have been stewarding your funds and what that looks like through 2017 and 2018, we've invested over $526,000 in direct service grants to organizations to keep them active in the work in the community. We've invested over $693,000 in construction materials and costs around rebuilding those 120 homes and families. And we have actually leveraged over $1.9 million worth of volunteer labor and getting materials and donations through our partners to be able to bring those 120 families back to their living arrangements. So that means we've leveraged over $3.2 million into the community for these floods. I think that kind of does a lot and talks about that long-term investment that we've made. But of course, we want to tell you those numbers and talk about how great those families are, but it wouldn't be complete unless I can give you a story about who some of those families are. One of the things that I'm really happy to say is last week we worked up in the northernmost part of Tangipahoa Parish with two families and brought Latasha Collier and her family. We had worked with them. It was a success story with Restore Louisiana, where working with Restore, the state was able to purchase them a mobile home because theirs had flooded, but they couldn't actually afford to get the mobile home hooked up. They couldn't afford the pad that it went on, the hookups for the electric, the water, the sewer. So the mobile home sat in their yard since January with no way to actually move in. So our United Way, in conjunction with the Red Cross grant that we're working with, were able to get all the hookups there, and we had a great welcome home party last week. Literally about 30 minutes following that, when we were able to deliver another mobile home to Rosalind Franklin and her family. So last week, 2 homes delivered. But I want to share a quick story about the Miranda family, who we'll be working with this Thursday. We're going to be filming them. This is a true story of an Alice family. Although disabled, both of the family, the husband and wife, run a small family business selling ice cream and snowballs out of a truck that they go into family neighborhoods. If you're like me, you grew up with the ice cream and snowball truck coming around, so I love this story. They flooded not once, but twice. They were actually rescued by boat and actually lived on the boat that was tied up to the dock of, actually it wasn't a dock, it was their front porch, living in their front porch on a boat for over 3 days following the flood. And they didn't give up. Although they went through several hardships over a year working with the state to try to qualify for the state program, after a year they found out that they did not qualify. So they found United Way, and with United Way, we were able to bring them a case manager who's been working one-on-one with them and volunteer. So we're going to be with them this week filming them, and in about 2 weeks, we will totally complete their home and have a welcome home party. So I'm happy to say we're stewarding your funds well, and we're continuing to work on your behalf, and we'll work through the end of December on our families that we're working with for long-term recovery.
Thanks, Janine. Such great success stories. So that's a wrap for our May investors call. Remember the Alice data reveal launch in Washington, D.C. You can follow us on social media to see how you can see that live stream. I hope you do that. But remember, we're here to fight for the education, health, and economic opportunity of every person in every community we serve. And you only have one life to live better. Let's live united. Thanks, and have a great day.